Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we are going to type out our cart icon. So to begin, let's switch these over to TSX files. And as you can notice, cart icon taking no props, no problem. But when we look inside of our cart icon component, what do we notice? We notice that here, Typescript cannot find this module for SVGs. The reason for this actually has to do with our tsconfig. We need to tell Typescript to include checking for alternative file types and then typing them inside of a React world. Now, this is where we need to actually declare a global type, just like we did before when we added something to the window. If you remember, we were working with Redux dev tools. So inside of our component, first what we need to do is we need to create a global file that we can add some additional typing to. I'm going to call it custom.d.ts. Now, the .d.ts is some special file that Typescript is looking for. So let's add it inside the source. We're going to make a new file called custom.d.ts. Inside of our custom.d.ts, we are going to declare a module where we register any path where we go star.svg. So we're recognizing any pathways. Again, remember, we're importing. So Typescript needs to be able to import the appropriate modules because that's really what we're importing. All of these are considered modules. We're importing any module that ends in a .svg file according to the following rules. Now, first, we want to just register the fact there's something in here that we want to export. We're going to say const source is equal to a string because essentially that's what's going to come out of it. And then we're going to export by default source. So that's how we're going to get the files. It's just going to be some value that gets initialized and then it's going to export it out by default in order for us to declare these as registerable TypeScript modules, importable and exportable. So by default, we need to append this type of export so that TypeScript knows, hey, you're exporting something from this. It's going to be a string because all files actually get converted to strings. And then once you import that in, React knows what to do with it. It'll parse it appropriately. React is already doing all that under the hood. It's really TypeScript that needs to register that. So let's save that and let's include this new custom.d.ts file inside of our tsconfig. For us to do this, we can include it inside of our include, and we can just say include source / and then custom.d.ts. And now that we've included this inside of our config, so that we know that, hey, inside of here, I want you to register these as specific files as part of your configuration. If we go back to cart icon, we'll notice that we're no longer getting that module error. We can successfully see that this is, hey, a module where we can bring in the SVG. But now we're seeing, oh, this is no longer an exportable member. What you're exporting is a string. You're not actually exporting a React component. Now, this is where, in order for us to turn this into a component, because remember, React under the hood is already doing all this. We just need TypeScript to register that this is happening. We got to extend upon this module. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to import in React, and we need to require this from React. What we're going to do with this React library is we're going to export const a React component. So we're going to say React component, which is the name of what we're importing. Remember, right here, you want to think about these imports and exports. First, we're exporting by default the source. But we can also export a member, which is what happens here when you do a named import. Remember, with these squiggly braces, you need some const to be exported. That's the only way that we can make sure that we can import it inside of these squiggly braces. This means that we're importing something, React component. That's why when you don't need the as shopping cart, this needs to be something that is actually exportable as a value from this file. Us saying as shopping icon is just us renaming the variable. But React component needs to live as a valid variable inside of this shoppingbag.svg that TypeScript can register is actually valid. Again, this is what we're saying here. We're saying, hey, there is some constant that is going to be exported called React component. And this is going to be of the type React.fc. It's a functional component. And what it is is a SVG props. So again, this is a functional component. We have SVG props being passed in, and the props is going to be an SVGE element. So these are just settings that need to be set. If this seems confusing, again, once you go through enough of these TypeScript patterns and documentation, you're going to essentially figure out what are these components mainly. This is a lot of configuration with TypeScript that we just need to do. I'm not actually typing anything through some deeper knowledge of all of this stuff. It's really just the fact that I've read through a lot of the documentation, so I understand what's needed in order for these components to actually render and their types. But that's what we need to bring in now. And inside, we now notice that this is working because essentially we've defined what this React component is. If you hover over it, right there you see we have a React FC with SVG as the props, where the prop types are based off of an SVG element. Now, because we did it for this one, it will work for all the others. If I remember correctly, our navigation routes component also has similarly an import where we're bringing in some React component like so. So here we can, in fact, convert this one as well. So first, I'm going to convert the styles to a TSX file, and I'm going to convert the component also to TSX. And now looking inside, looking at this component, if you hover over React component, you notice it is a valid prop. Looking through this file, there are no type concerns because, again, this is a very straightforward component. We're using all these hooks that are already typed for us, so there's nothing additional that we need to type. We started with Redux. All of our Redux portions are all properly typed. So there we go. We now learned how to type SVGs inside of React. Chances are, whenever you need to do anything with SVGs inside of React using this very common pattern, you just need to also declare this additional module and then include it inside of your tsconfig. Now that we know this, let's continue typing the rest of our components.